dealing with today, if we would,
I'm sorry, this doesn't, I was just looking at this gentleman over here and how he's eating that. You make it look so good. I'm sorry. It did, it just looked so good, I wanted to eat it. What does he have on his plate? It looks great.
oh, and I
I'm
got
sorry.
something for laxative.
Oh,
Because you asked a
yeah.
question last week and I just ran around it.
Herbal what?
Laxative,
Laxatives.
okay? Clean out your digestive system, okay? Because you were saying when you eat, you get tired. That's because probably your digestive system isn't flushing, okay? And you build up a lot of toxins. And when you eat, you get tired, okay? That'll flush the digestive system out so you can start removing the toxins now. So what I do mine once when I have digestive congestion. I do every Sunday, I take about 4 tablets, a lot of water, about 9 o'clock, okay? And flush out, flush out, flush out, flush out. So that's enough for 4 weeks if you do it the way I do it, or you can do it every day for 4 days. And just flush out, and you know, and that'll help get them toxins out of your body. It'll help. It's not getting all of it, but it's just where your body can process better and get those toxins out.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Okay, we're dealing with understanding addictive behavior. I'm gonna stay with the script because, like I told you, I've been through a very negative experience. My spirit is very low, and so I'm gonna kind of stay with the script today. We dealt in the first half with addiction, but that was on level 1. Okay. Now what we want to do is understand the biological element of addiction. And I'm not just talking about alcohol and drugs. That's what everybody is on when you say addiction, alcohol and drugs. I'm talking about behavioral addiction. Okay. I'm talking about workaholics, sexaholics. Okay. All right. So don't just put your mind in addiction means an alcoholic or a drug addict. Okay. Addiction is a behavior that proceeds forth from a condition. Okay. And that condition is what we want to deal with. How do we become addicts? As I said, the musician Eric Clapton became opiate addiction. And when he was asked, let me take this off. And when he was asked what was the gateway drug to his addiction, he said, sugar. I was a sugar addict when I was a child. Okay. And people don't realize that it's not your fault. See, the main thing with people who are suffering from addiction is that they feel guilty. Let me tell you something. It's not your fault. It's not because you are morally depleted. It's not because you are someone who just is corrupt. All right? Your addiction started in your womb. Okay? Because the food companies, the politicians, the conservatives on this level, the liberals, they just morally destroying our country. You know, it's okay to do this. It's okay to do this. Politicizing behavior that, and what they say is 10 genders now. Come on. That's a lie. Okay? And you're telling people that you can function on a level. See, I look at homosexuality as an addiction. Okay? Not a normal behavior. Okay? And a lot of times because we don't know natural science, we create homosexuals. When you having sex with a pregnant woman and that baby is in the woman, you come into that vagina, you know who eats that? The baby. Everything that you put on and in your body, the child eats it, even your anger. The child eats emotion. Okay? And so I tell women, and many get insulted, I done got cursed out for saying this because they didn't understand where I was coming from. I said, you're abusing your child in the womb. But you're doing it unconsciously because we lack the education to understand. When you're having sex with a woman and a baby is in the womb, okay, he takes on that desire. He takes on lust. If you know, and this is why we try to have holistic sexual relationship. Okay. There's no such thing as a sex drive, only a reproductive drive. You make me feel good. No scientific thought. Ooh, he makes me feel good. That's short term. Okay. And we confuse pleasure with happiness because we don't understand the biological aspect of this. Okay. We should be taught in school. Okay. But I know when I was coming up in Chicago, we had health classes. We had proper sexual education classes. Not sexual education classes that taught us there was 10 genders. That's improper sexual education classes. Okay. We understood that the penis goes into the vagina. There you release semen and you get pregnant. Okay, something is wrong with the computer. All right, so that's why I'm gonna stay with the script. Because usually I, start talking and y'all can take that home and read it. Okay. To be an addict in your womb and in your childhood. Okay. You were conditioned. Let me show you how. Food, chemicals, legal and illegal drugs, and alcohol hijacks the pleasure and reward dopamine circuits to create an obsessive want. Okay. A healthy brain rewards healthy behavior, like exercising, eating, bonding with others. Okay. An addictive brain process works against a healthy process. sugar, fructose, and all these processed foods, which they have took the natural constituents out, okay, are drugs. They know this. And they want you addicted to buy more food. Okay? Fructose is 2 times more sweeter than sugar. They put it in your Coca-Cola, Mountain Dews, sports drinks, everything. And it's not needed because we got natural sweeteners. Okay? That does the addictive drive. The enemy is dopamine. Dopamine receptors. Now, this is something Elohim has put in your body system. Okay. And so, by putting chemicals, and when I do the health class, y'all really going to be amazed at why 5% women mortality has increased 5% between the age of 45 and 54. And when you see what's in the cosmetics, chemicals they put in the cosmetics, okay, you dying to look beautiful. Okay, that's how corrupt it has become. And I tell people, I'm a conservative. But Republican conservatives will not chastise the food system, and they know what's going on. That's why in New Zealand, all American products with sugar and fructose in it is banned. Why? Because this institution, okay, that I'm a member of, they send out data, they doing new research, and they say, oh, we're lying. Addiction is not a moral problem. Addiction is not because you, like they say in AA, you have a mentality that cannot be reformed. You was born this way. No, you wasn't. You was made this way. Because they want to make food that stimulates what? Dopamine. That's the what? Not happiness. See, we think the dopamine, they call it the happy chemical in the brain. No, it's not. It is a chemical that produces pleasure. Okay? And these foods and chemicals, okay, overexcite dopamine output. Okay? That cause you to have an overwhelming desire. I said an obsessive desire for that substance or behavior, okay, to the degree where you become addicted. Why? Because you're constantly wanting that high. You're constantly wanting that high. Whether it is a chemical high, whether it is a behavioral high, you need that stimulus to keep that dopamine flowing so that you can feel pleasure. Okay. And when you study how to use commercials and advertisements, okay, to promote sexual behaviors, it's called autosuggestion, redundancy. And I can show you pictures, and one day maybe we'll go through that, that's level 3, where you can see in those pictures men making love to men, okay, overstimulating the sexual hormone, okay, and you don't even know what's happening. All right? You don't even know what's happening. And when I'm able to make posters of these pictures and show you, okay, did you see this? Did you see that? Did you see they make this food? this is what this symbolizes. This is what is going into your brain. And people are oversexed. Okay? Because these images stimulate dopamine. You feel, oh yeah, that pleasure. Oh yeah. And you want that stimulant. It's called autosuggestion. Subliminal suggestion. Go ahead.
Some while ago when I was a teacher in school, and the kids would come into the classroom with their food was, and give about 30 minutes to sit and eat and all of that kind of stuff. And it would just get so out of control.
Yeah, right.
Even in the cafeteria, it was out of control. And so I'm listening to you now and some of the things that you're saying, and the teachers, and I was one of them, was a big advocate of Adderall. That was the big thing.
Yeah.
Just go get them some Adderall. Just go get some Adderall.
Yeah, well, all this, what the food company made $34 trillion, okay, last year. Okay. Healthcare costs 26 trillion. By 2029, the healthcare budget is going to be zero. 29% of all, like, retirement and Social Security benefit is going to fall 29%, because health care, especially diabetes, obesity, and other things, because diabetes and obesity is just killing America. Okay. All right. But we're going to go through that. Okay, that's another class. I got all the data at home. Food chemicals, sugar, fructose, legal drugs, alcohol, and hijack the pleasure reward circuits in your brain, creating obsessive want for more and more, stimulating dopamine, creating anticipation for pleasure, sending your emotional inhibition circuits into overdrive, creating high levels of anxiety when there is no intake. Thus, the addicts seek out to relieve because they base the ability to make decisions, their ability to make decisions in the, it's called the prefrontal cortex, a part of the prefrontal lobe, okay, is paralyzed because of the output of too much dopamine, okay? When the obsessive want is obtained or fulfilled, dopamine is released, which produces a pleasurable sensation. There is a moment of ecstasy which soon passes, it's short-lived. And the need, I need more. You know, that's your anxiety. Oh, I need more of that. You know, all right. And the cycle of behavior evolves to, I call it, to seek, to find, to satisfy. This evolves into at all cost. That's when you lose your moral quality. I know this is wrong, but in order to stimulate more dopamine, I'm gonna do this. Okay. And like I told you, it's not based upon just alcohol and drugs. That's the stereotype. Okay? That's the stereotype that they put out there to make you who are addicted to everything but alcohol and drugs feel normal. Well, I'm not a drug addict. Oh, yes, you are. Dopamine is a drug. Okay? It's a natural drug, but when you overstimulate it with these processed foods, overstimulate it, you become addicted to it. And so you want to keep on producing this level of dopamine over the healthy level, and you become sick. Okay. When the obsessive want, drugs, alcohol, behaviors, okay, that brings an output of dopamine, which causes pleasure, okay, which produce a pleasurable sensation, that is a moment of ecstasy which soon pass, and the I need more anxiety resumes. What happened when that I need anxiety comes? You seek it out. Hey man, you gotta go to work at 9, man, I gotta get this. You know, so you start losing the sense of responsibility, you start losing your moral fiber, okay? I want that to sink in. Because that's what they're doing now, that's what the liberals are doing, destroying moral balance. Okay? I need more. Anxiety resumes and the cycle of behavior evolves. I call, seek, find, satisfy at all costs. Dopamine is an excitatory receptor and long-term chronic firing, okay, kills neuronal cells. Okay. To protect themselves, neurons will downregulate. I mean, let's put it in simple terms. They are high. Okay. And will regulate the dopamine receptors when the neuron starts to die. This is called addiction because the constant chronic firing of dopamine through pleasurable substance or behavior kills neuronal cells. Okay. Your brain cells. All right? Chronic overstimulation leads to neuronal death, which we call a fried brain. I know y'all don't use that. Boy, your brain fried. Somebody talking, they think they making sense and they just fry. Don't make no sense, no logic, no rationality, overreaction. Okay? This is what addiction is. Okay? Chronic overstimulation leads to neuronal death, which we call a fried brain. The prefrontal cortex of the frontal lobe is paralyzed, wherein one cannot think rationally or morally. You lose that deductive ability. Okay? The prefrontal cortex, about right here, okay, in the brain, is what helps you to think. When you have too much dopamine output on a chronic level, it freezes, paralyzes the prefrontal cortex. And all you got to do is look at a person's diet, look at their obsession, say, man, that's enough. No, I got to have more. Why? Because they're trying to get that dopamine output. All right. This comes from these obsessive cognitive circuits or functions that we have. Starts in the womb. You got children, 3 years old, they got cancer. Why? Talc powder. You know, chemicals. All right? And when you understand cancer, you say, this children ain't supposed to have no cancer. Okay. Childhood diabetes. Okay. Learning disabilities. This all starts in the womb. Because we're eating chemical drug foods. So it's not your fault that you're having substance abuse problems. It started in the womb when these billionaires decided, instead of selling food that gives health, they take the health out of food, put synthetic chemicals in the food that are addictive and that cause dopamine, chronic dopamine output. Okay? Let me get back to the script. Dopamine is an excitatory receptor, and long-term chronic firing kills neurons. Keep that point. Okay? Where we have what is called serotonin. Okay? This is where the balance should be. Serotonin is an inhibitor. That means it gives you self-control. Okay. All right. Chemical nerve cells produce a compound. It's a chemical nerve cell produce a compound present in blood, platelets, and serum, which constricts the blood vessels and act as a neurotransmitter that stabilize our mood. Homeostasis. Okay. Feelings of well-being and happiness helps with sleeping, eating, and digestion related to the amino acid tryptophan. All right. You want to balance out your moods and behavior, get you some tryptophan. It's an amino acid you take in the morning with no meal because our tryptophan is off. We don't even know what it is. Okay. So if you're waking up irritated and moody, and get you some tryptophan and replenish that supply, replenish that. It comes from the neuromelanin. It's a derivative of neuromelanin. Okay. All right.
When I was teaching, I always wondered, and teachers just blew it off, oh, this is so bad and blah, 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 saying those types of things. And I'm listening to what you're saying, and when it came time for lunchtime, those kids ran to the lunch line. And it wasn't because they liked what was in it, it just, well, now that I'm listening to you, a part of that was, ooh, I feel good. Oh, I feel good. Let's fight in the room. Let's fight in there.
And then 2 hours later,
I'm listening to you, and I'm like,
yeah. And then 2 hours later, once that high is gone, they got their little candy bag. Okay. And when we do the study on leptin, which is a hunger hormone, see, it's not your fault that you fat. Obesity is nobody's fault. Drunkards are nobody's fault. The chemical warfare that's against you is the fault. Okay? Leptin is the fatty hormone in the lower intestines. When you eat, that fatty hormone is released to the brain, processes through the hypothalamus, and says, no more. It cuts off hunger. The last 20 years, men eat 160, I think it was 64 more calories a day. Children, 124 more calories a day. Women, 364 more calories a day. And so what the foundation that I'm in said, okay, why? See? Why? Because sucrose sugar, fructose, and other chemicals paralyzes that hormone. It's not metabolizing. So the brain, because that hormone doesn't register in the brain still thinks you're hungry. And so you keep eating. But what they tell you is that, it's because you're greedy and a slouch. That's chemical warfare. And they know what they're doing when they paralyze the hunger hormone. Why? Sell more products. And so the conservatives say, well, we don't want to regulate the corporations. You need to. You're killing the people. And now the mortality rate among women between 45 and 54 is 5%. It increased. What was the causation that we found in these research? Poisons. Okay. And suicide. Why? Let me show you. The overactivity of dopamine degrades the serotonin activity, the ones that bring you peace, one that bring you contentment. That's happiness. Contentment is happiness. Okay. Causing low energy depression and suicidal thoughts. Decreasing the feelings of well-being in children and women whose suicidal rate has soared. Dopamine is not the happy biochemical. Rather, it relates to reward and pleasure, whereas serotonin is the happiness with contentment biochemical. Okay. So what happens is that in the body, all right, in the body, when you're producing too much dopamine, okay, it begins to degrade the serotonin receptors. Okay. And because serotonin regulates mood and attitude, when it's degraded, that's when you fall into depression. And people say, why are these kids killing themselves? Okay, that's why. Because they're in school all day eating sugar and junk food and synthetic foods, right? Too much dopamine. It destroys neuronal cells and it destroys serotonin. Receptors. Should be E. Okay? And when it downgrades the serotonin receptors, that's clinically called depression. And that's why women's suicide has increased by 5%, 45 to 54. Okay. When you're eating these foods with a child in your belly, I call it child abuse. A lot of people, because of this feminist stuff they got going on, they think that you degrading women. I'm not degrading women, this is science. I'm trying to warn you, okay? Don't curse me out, all right? I keep up with this stuff all the time, all right? And you have people now who is stepping up, mostly in the white community. So the foundation that I'm hooked up to that does this research, okay, is doing a slow but great job. That's why New Zealand, when they got the data, they said no. They cut off the food supply from the United States that have sugar and fructose in it because it paralyzes the leptin. Okay.
When did they start this?
Oh man, this foundation been going on for about 10 years. They do new research and finding out that the research that's done by these corporations are false. It's for the purpose of selling food. And they have proven that it's false. Okay. Right? In the black community, we had Dr. Africa. He would break it down. But these guys, Dr. Africa passed away about a year ago, okay? But these guys is even improving on his studies, okay? And they will show you, they say, okay, this is what the corporation says. This is the true research. And you'd be like, oh, wow. Okay. So you see a person that's 300 pounds, that fat slop is not their fault. They cut off the leptin. Go ahead.
The question, what is it that increases the DOPA?
Dopamine.
drugs, anything that stimulates pleasure. Okay, let me put it that way. Because we think dopamine is happiness. Feeling good is being happy. It's just like psychologically why I'm against the positive thinking thing. Because that's not how the brain works. The brain works in affirmations, not in redundant convincing. And it excites the dopamine. Okay. You hear people saying, I'm a king, I'm this, I'm that, I can do, okay, bro. First of all, you ain't a king. All right? You live in a project. You have no army, no minister of defense. Okay, let's be realistic. How do a king function? Okay? You are not a king. Just try to be human. And if God, Elohim, grants you to become a king, okay, that's cool, but be a righteous one. Okay? All this positive convincing yourself of something that is not within the perimeter of reality based upon the definition and the function of words. We can create our own reality. Okay. I tell you what you do for me. All you positive thinkers, create another world. Go ahead, confess it. And y'all go there. We need to get y'all out of here. And go to this new planet you created and positive think all day long. So that we who are still in deductive and rational understanding of life can begin to proceed forward. That's an addiction. Positive thinking is an addiction. It makes you feel good. Reality don't. Man, I wish I could be the president. Okay, you need about $50 million to run a campaign. You got it? But then corporate tells you, you can be anything you want. No, you can't. Okay, I wanted to be a martial arts champion. I got whooped. You understand what I'm saying? I got in there with somebody better than me. Okay? And I affirmed. He won. I lost. He's the champion. And I could have walked in there, I'm going to be champion. I'm going to be champion. I name it and claim it. And got knocked out. Why? He was better than me. You can't be anything you want to be. Peter's principle. Anybody ever heard of Peter's principle? Peter, right? Or we call him Kaifa, right? When Yeshua was telling about his death, he said, no, Lord, I'll go with you. I'll fight. I'll rock and I'll do, And Yeshua, or Jesus as y'all say, he said, no, you're going to betray me 3 times. No, I know I can do it. And then when them soldiers came, you understand? Where did that talk go? Never confess something about yourself that is beyond your ability to achieve. Peter's principle. And what Peter ended up doing? Hey, you were with Yeshua of Nazareth? I don't even know what to do. All that positive thinking went out what? The window. It don't work. They're hypnotizing themselves. They're brainwashing themselves into what they think is a reality that don't even exist. Evaluate. See, what the serotonin do is move. It gives you and stimulates the prefrontal cortex of the brain. where you can think rationally, deductively, where you can evaluate and say, okay, it's a fire in the house, and I need to get in there, okay, and save them kids. Kids are probably already dead. But I can do it, I can do it. You go in there, you don't come out either. Gavin! Okay? And then people say, oh, you didn't go and try to save them kids. They already dead, man. You see the house is gone. Okay? See, I can deduce that. Okay? There's nothing I can do but die with them. I can do it. Run in there and get burnt up. And then people on the news say, he was a hero. Yeah, but he dead. Death does not connotate heroism. But if I see the house on fire and it's just on this side and I know the kids on that side, I can go in and get them out safely. Rational, deductive knowledge. They alive, I'm alive, because I evaluated the situation and made a proper judgment. So they got people thinking that all they got to do is confess a couple of words, name it and claim it. Sorcery. Abracadabra. And it gives them what? That dopamine output of pleasure instead of a serotonin output of rational, logical, affirmative thinking. Why? Because the prefrontal cortex cortex, because of the overstimulation of dopamine, is what? Paralyzed. Paralyzed. Okay. So we need the tryptophan that stimulates the serotonin. Okay. So go through this. Maintaining healthy serotonin, healthy personal relationships instead of this individualism. Okay. Proper sleep, 6 to 8 hours a day. Exercise, which mitigates stress. Meditation and prayer. And cook your own food. When you go into these restaurants, you don't know what's in that food. Okay? Cook your own food. Okay? The results. Continuity, that means a mood of happiness and contentment that is not short-lived like dopamine, but it's a continuous. Okay? Ethical behavior, giving. Okay. See, giving and being charitable is a norm. Okay? Sister told me, she said, you're so giving. Yeah, I'm trying to keep my serotonin going. And it's a challenge because you do get hurt. You know. Sometimes. Not all the time. Okay? And you got to make it through those moments. The experience of friendship. Okay, bonding. Okay. And these things are non-addictive. It doesn't promote addictive behavior. It stabilizes your mood. Okay. Whereas dopamine, pleasure, see, that's in the perimeter of happiness. They got us thinking pleasure is happiness. But in the body, dopamine is pleasure. Serotonin produces behavioral happiness. Okay. Pleasure. Chronic firing kills neuronal cells. down-regulates the dopamine receptors, short-lived. That means you get that pleasure, boom, bust that nut, it's over. Short-lived, okay? Taking, that means producing a selfish, individualistic attitude towards life, okay? Experienced alone, individualism, you know. You don't need nobody to experience pleasure, but happiness you do. That social interaction, healthy social interaction, it brings peace and happiness. No, not sitting up alone in the corner, you know, man, I want to be bothered with you. You know how people, food addicts, don't come around they food, they like dogs. Hey, can I have a piece of that? No! That's mine! They isolate themselves, okay, in their addiction, okay. Experience alone individualism, and that's what they're teaching, especially in the black community. Individualism is going nuts. No social interaction. You remember back in the day, we used to have block parties and different things like that. You know, that's, you know, they just walking around like this. That's called radiation addiction. See? The phone emanates radiation. You become addicted to that radiation. And that's why every 2 minutes, you don't even know what you're looking for. Right? But you need that stimulus. Walking down the street.
Running the damn telephone.
Right. Running to a telephone pole, walking in the middle of traffic. Radiation addiction. They know what they're doing. Right? One day I'm going to bring in a video. We're going to do a video with Dr. Robert. He breaks it down. You know, I'm good, but he is excellent. All right, I give credit where credit is due. Okay. And he breaks it down. He just used a lot of big words that, you know, grassroots people probably wouldn't relate to. He keeps me in the dictionary. Okay. Because I'm constantly learning. You know, I got my certification in there, but a certification just means you have the basics on which you can build proper knowledge. And so I continue to study and build on everything I got. Okay. Okay. Achieves with substance, food, cosmetics. Cosmetics is really bad. The chemicals they put in that is really killing women, making them sick. Okay. Extremities lead to addiction. Results, fried brain. Cure, holistic diet, supplements, and tryptophan. Okay? This is what addiction is. When the dopamine is chronically outputted to the degree where it begins to kill neuronal cells and freezes the prefrontal cortex, the thinking system, we call it a fried brain. That's addiction. When you can no longer make a decision or a judgment based on right or wrong. That's why the corporations put out, no man can judge me. Are you serious? You walk up and slap my child, I'm gonna make a judgment. And the next thing you're gonna see is a pistol in your face or a foot in your butt. That's a judgment. Okay? You walk up, get out of here, kid, slap. You gonna make a judgment. I judge that. You don't slap my son. You don't slap my daughter because you having a bad day. And then my judgment is gonna come. Boom! Okay? See what I'm saying? But the people walking around without any type of moral restraint and then saying, can't no man judge me. I will. Go across the line. Okay? Go across the line. I'm going to make a judgment. Okay? It's two words in the Hebrew, and I want y'all to really understand this so you can come out of that hypnosis they put us in. And it really defines a judgment, and they use it wrong. Okay? Why? Because the preachers and teachers don't study. They got a requiem. They say the same thing over and over. They don't study. They got you believing the King James Version is the Bible. King James is a translation of the word. It's not the word. It's an interpretation of it. A translation is just an interpretation. Okay? So you have the word mishpat. That's the word translated judgment. And then you have the word din, D-I-N. Okay. So when Yeshua was teaching, he said, ayin din, not judge. Din. Din means to make a judgment of death. A punitive judgment of death. See, there's only one judge and one lawgiver. He can din. You can't. Mishpat means to evaluate and rightly discern between good and evil. You can do that. So the system wants to destroy that capability within your mind so you can flow into, I do what I want to do. 12-year-old thinking. Can't do what you want to do. If you had kids, right? I know some of y'all got kids, right? And that kid just started busting the window. What you gonna do? You gonna make a judgment, ain't you? Hey, boy, what's wrong? Come. You can't do that. You judge between right or wrong. Kid is walking up to a pot with boiling water on the stove and reaching for it. You're gonna make a judgment. A mishpat. So what they want is consumers. In order to make you a consumer, like a cow in the field all day, what do you do? Raise his head up. A consumer. So what they have to do is destroy your ability to make rational judgment by telling you, no man can judge me. And then you make an evaluation of something, and here come Mr. and Mrs. Idiot. Oh, you can't be judging people. I'm not judging people. I'm judging the behavior and saying that behavior does not promote homeostasis. It does not promote balance. It promotes social chaos. Look at the results of it. And so all these little social cliches and stuff that they're giving us, they're doing it on purpose. Because what they want is to turn the population of America and the world into consumers. They call you that all day on TV. Consumer Report. The consumers. The consumer. You ain't even people no more. They don't even call you the citizens. They call you consumers. It's done purposely. They understand redundant auto-suggested devices. Just like people, when you have a race conversation, okay, which I don't believe in race. I know better than that, scientifically unproven, and never will be. Okay. What do they say? What's the thing they use? Racial tolerance. You know how insulting that is? We don't like you niggas, but we don't tolerate you. And so that's what they promote. They're not promoting gaining an understanding of each other culturally, whereby we can, even though we have different cultural dynamics, we can function together. You know, racial tolerance. Let's tolerate these niggas. Let's tolerate these white folks. You know what tolerance is? Think about it. Use that serotonin. Tolerance does not promote peace. And that's why you still have the racial problem, because they're not promoting social, racial harmony. They're promoting what? Tolerance. You know how you use that word. Well, I don't like that guy, but I'll tolerate him. You know. So they're not promoting racial harmony in America. They're promoting tolerance. They're not telling you to challenge the old stereotype, to challenge, you know, these negative attitudes that cause social chaos within the realm, what they call race, which scientifically is unproven. It's one sister, Caucasian sister, does a tremendous job on breaking all of it down. No scientific basis for race. So me, as a person that like to think scientific, I say, hey man, I just can't promote, ain't no such thing as a black race, a white race. Those words was invented in 1682. Okay. Okay, and now we're perpetuating. No such thing as white people. No such thing as black people. Black is an adjective. You are a noun. Huh? You're a noun. So you got to understand the stereotypical language that they use in order to constrict our what? Serotonin receptors. Where you have homeostasis, peace, okay, and stimulate our dopamine receptors. Okay, that's addiction. And so when you come into a recovery play, you got to take it more beyond just don't drink, don't do drugs. This thing has a root that goes back to the womb. I tell people all the time, yeah, I tell you, but I'm not perfect. I done slipped before. Okay? Why? Because this is a part of me. I'm fighting it. I came up in the womb eating sugar and pancakes. You know, my mama didn't know. I came up eating candies and these addictive foods that converted into a substance abuse problem. Okay? So once you discover, you say, oh my God, my behavior is addictive behavior. And you start fighting it. And you might fall. Like I told the person one time, he said, oh man, I messed up. I said, yeah, just get back up. You fall down, get back up. Stop being guilty, because that's what gets you. When they tell you you are an addict because you are morally, innately and morally inferior. No, you addicted me with your foods. They tell you take responsibility. Okay, take responsibility and take these chemicals and mind-altering chemicals that you put in food and cosmetics out. You take responsibility. And stop leading people into demoralizing addiction. The hell with feminism. The hell with chauvinism. That's not our fight. Our fight is against the pharmaceutical and food company that is destroying our children. And they get you, what, LBGT? The hell with LBGT. The hell with that. I don't fight those fights. And ain't nobody talking about what they're doing to the food. So what did that one company say? We can control the people through food to make you what? Consumers. And so the other night I got kind of upset when people didn't understand what I was talking about, firing at, and I said, man, what I'm telling you, okay, I'm a warner. I'm not perfect at this either. I have bad moments, but I know I gotta keep moving forward. Okay? I'm about at 90%. I ain't never made it to 100% on that. You know, and that's why when you made the statement last week, I said, well, I don't really want to hit that, because that's, I'm gonna bring up some stuff and tell them what to do. Okay? Because I understand, that's because you built up too much toxins. Your digestion isn't flowing like it should. So we need to flush it out and give your digestion a new start. Okay.
The water's helping.
Yeah. Well, yeah. This will help even more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This will help. That's the slow process. This gonna be the fast one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just keep a lot of Charmin around. Okay. So I'm gonna close it here. And I appreciate you guys coming. I had a really bad day, and been really sad about it. But we're gonna move forward, right? We're gonna move forward. All right. So, y'all, yeah, thank you. We'll see you guys next week. We're gonna deal with the leptin. Okay. All right. And how to get your leptin back working, so that leptin hormone can hit that thalamus and say, stop! No more. You got the daily requirements.
What are the tryptophan? What is whatever it is?
Tryptophan, it's an
All right,
amino
what's in it? I mean,
Tryptophan is
well,
what-
I mean, is there food in it or?
No, it's just a supplement.
Oh, it's a supplement? Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
that a supplement.
Okay.
And it is a byproduct or a product of the serotonin.
Okay.
Okay. So when you want to strengthen that serotonin, okay, receptors, that's what you take. It's a derivative from neuromelanin. Okay. Neuromelanin has about, I think it's 7, maybe 8 different types of amino acids that, from the center of the brain. That black substance. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And a lot of times when we get older, it becomes calcified, especially in Caucasians. It becomes calcified. Okay. I think in Caucasians it becomes calcified about 35. So you're not getting that melatonin. And it's because of the foods. Okay. American diet is destroying the pineal gland. So if you want to stimulate your pineal gland, look up into the sun every morning and just blink. That stimulates that pineal gland function. Okay. All right. And so there is a difference. People with a lower or non-melanin, well, they get it mixed up, especially in these Afrocentric groups. It's 2 melanins. It's neuromelanin and skin melanin. I'm going to use that. I'm not going to use the big word. Okay. Whites have a very low or none production because they lived in cold areas. They didn't need it. So they became Caucasian. Okay. Where people of color live where there's majority of sunlight. Skin melanin just protects your skin from the ultraviolet rays of the sun. That's it. Neuromelanin, that's the one we want to keep healthy. I'm not worried about the skin melanin. Okay. And people try to take it because they don't study it. They just jump on the bandwagon on some idea. There's 2 melanocytes, which is skin melanin. Okay. And then there is neuromelanin. That's the one you want to understand and how it works in your body. Okay. So that's all race is people who live in colder regions who have more cold, okay, their body shuts off the melanin, skin melanin. Why? They don't need it. Whereas when you live in hot climates and southern climate, you know, the body uses the skin melanin to protect the skin, okay, from ultraviolet rays. That's all it is. It's a sunscreen.
Yeah, but blacks burn up too.
Huh?
Blacks burn too.
Yeah, everything burns. But, okay, the highest rate of skin cancer is whites.
Yeah, that's true.
Very seldom do you find blacks with skin cancer unless they really, you know, light-skinned. Okay. And that's why. Okay. That's why when I see white folks on the beach crying, I be like, they out of their mind. They don't know what's going on. And they end up with all wrinkled skin and, you know, and skin cancer because they have no melanocytes. So it's sun tanning is the most stupidest thing. You want to darken your skin? 3 carrots and a half a beet a day. You understand what I'm saying?
Are you serious?
Yeah. 3 carrots and a beet a day for about 30 days. You be coming in here looking like me. What's up, bro?
Can I ask you
You know.
something about it being a, I don't want to offend anybody, but do you do that? Have you tried to put stuff inside your system in a healthy way? And gotten, yeah,
No.
okay. I'm sorry.
I like, you know, I'm not as bad as he makes it out to be, but I feel like, this is my personal preference. I feel healthier and look better if I have a tan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like looking milky toast and, you know, white is white and all that other.
Yeah.
I've always been that way.
Just do it in a healthy way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm out in it anyway.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, but I've had skin cancer. I had it on my nose and then
Yeah.
22 stitches outside and 19 inside.
Oh, wow.
I had
4
the
years ago.
same skin cancer on my nose.
Yeah.
I had a third of my nose taken out.
Okay. So when you understand the science of it, like I said, you do what I'm saying, protect your skin. Understand. This is not a racial doctrine. You ain't got no melanocytes. It's medical. Okay? That's not racist. You know, it's telling you, okay, you have to protect your skin more so than African people. What's racist about that? None. Yo, but people get insulted. Oh, you're being racist. Dude, I say, come on, man. Y'all don't even know what racism is anymore. Okay? So,
That's what gets me too, that, you know,
yeah.
I want to say this, because this gets, it
Mm-hmm. Go
gets
ahead.
me, it gets my gut.
Okay.
Because
Go ahead.
when I've heard the N-word,
Go ahead.
I hear blacks use the N-word all the time amongst themselves. And I have used it in the past when I get mad, but by and large, I don't like that word, never have.
Yeah.
But when I hear blacks using it amongst themselves, what does that show me?
Yeah.
You know, and then I get called out on it,
Yeah.
because I do it.
It's a, because it's
I don't do it, but
Yeah.
I have.
I mean, we've all have. Let's just be honest. Yeah, you get mad. Nigger! I get mad, you peckerwood! You know, but because when we get into that angry realm, we say things. I don't take it personally. I was in Milwaukee. I'm walking down the street with my girl. This white dude, he was a little tipsy. You nigger! And I looked at him, I said, his wife said, he don't mean, I said, I ain't worried, he's drunk. They just kept walking. And my girl said, you ain't get mad for what? He's drunk. And I ain't no nigga. Okay? The only reason you'll get mad for somebody using that word is that's what you think you are. Okay? I'm beyond that. And she looked at me. I said, man, I don't, you know, dude, he's a little dude too. You know, he was like, oh, you nigger. And I just looked at him and said, yeah, all right, bro. you know, and just kept walking. It don't bother me. It bothers me more when African Americans use that word. Okay. What's up, my nigga? I ain't your nigga. Okay. Something they learned from these hip-hop degrading videos. And then they changed the name. Well, nigga and nigger. So we don't say nigger, we say nigga. I said, you just a nigga that don't know how to spell. It's the same thing. It's a degrading term. Okay? Don't try to justify that you singing internationally using that word to identify internationally. And so when Chinese, white people hear you calling yourself nigger and then they don't have no respect for you, you get upset. You're affirming that we are a nigger. Let me give you the definition historically of nigger. The senator in Louisiana in 1856, he said, we have finally removed all life from the mind of the nigger, from the mind of the slave, and have created for ourselves, what? A race of niggers that will serve our menial needs. That's how I define it. Based upon the purpose in which the word was used in the days of slavery. So when you say you're a nigger, you saying I'm still a slave, serving the needs of others, not my community. Okay. You understand? This was 1856. He stood up in Congress and said it. And they said, okay. That's the whole purpose, is to create a subservient collective of people to serve the menial needs of the white race in their racist ideology. That's why I say y'all don't know what racism is. Man say, man, we don't want, hey, I'm African, we play drum. And he said, man, we really don't want that in our neighborhood. I don't take it personally, because I don't want to hear no country music. So I don't want you moving next door to me. Where are you? Do not. That's not my cultural music. So I prefer you take that country music way over there. That's just preference. Cultural preference. It's not racism. I ain't got nothing against them. But I'm not trying to listen to Glenn Campbell all day and night. And he ain't trying to listen to African drums all day and night.
White people
Okay.
don't want to hear Glenn Campbell.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't get insulted, because by studying, I did when I was younger, but by studying and meeting great men in my life, God so blessed me to meet very wise elders, and we was taught back then to respect your elders, and we did. I gained from it, and I went from that nigger mentality to a African mentality of liberation. And so I don't call myself black. When I do a application, it's black, white. I put other African. I'm African Hebrew. I'm not a color. I'm a noun. I'm not an adjective. Okay. And I didn't hear black people get mad. I said, I'm not black. Oh, you denying your race? I ain't no such thing as race, fool. Adjective is, black is an adjective. I am African Hebrew. Okay? And they get upset. All right. But we over time, man. Let me get out of here.